General settings. Financial settings. You can create financial years from this screen by clicking green plus button. You can change financial year start date and end date. If your financial year is 1st of January to 31st of December, you can enter financial year start as 1st of January and financial year end as 31st of December. Tick on current financial year. Note: Sage Business Cloud Accounting does not require any year-end process. Only thing is you need to create a new financial year. When your financial year ends, system will pop up an alert to create a new financial year. By accepting to create a new financial year, you can create a new financial year, or from general settings, you can create a new financial year. Lockdown date. If you activate a lockdown date, no transactions can be processed or edited before that date. You can minimize data entry errors by activating lockdown date. After your year end, you can set last financial year end date as lockdown date. Then users cannot process backdated transactions. Rounding. You can set accounting to round customer documents values. To do this, choose the type of rounding you wish to use and then specify the amount to round to. Regional settings. Quantity decimal places. From quantity decimal places, you can increase or decrease quantity decimal places in transaction documents and reports. Value decimal places. From value decimal places, you can increase or decrease number of value decimal places in transaction documents and reports. Hours decimal places. From hours decimal places, you can increase or decrease number of decimal places of hours in transactions documents and reports. Currency symbol. You can enter preferred symbol which should display in documents and reports. For example, in Sri Lanka, you can use rupees or LKR. Date format. You can select preferred date format. Customer and supplier settings. By ticking or unticking, you can activate or deactivate following attributes. If you activate warn when duplicate customer reference used on customer invoices, system will alert for duplicate references. If you activate warn when duplicate supplier invoice number used on supplier invoices, system will alert for duplicate supplier invoice numbers. If you activate display inactive customers for selection when processing, system will display inactive customers when processing transactions. If you deactivate, system will not display inactive customers for invoicing. If you activate display inactive customers for selection on reports, system will display inactive customers in report generation. If you deactivate, system will not display inactive customers in reports. If you activate display inactive suppliers for selection when processing, system will display inactive suppliers when processing transactions. If you deactivate, system will not display inactive suppliers for transactions. If you activate display inactive suppliers for selection on reports, system will display inactive suppliers in report generation. If you deactivate, system will not display inactive suppliers in reports. If you activate use inclusive processing on customer or supplier document by default, System will use inclusive amounts when processing transactions. If you activate Use Account as default document line type selection, system will display account as type when processing transactions. Item settings. Warn when item quantities fall below 0. If you tick this, system will display an alert when item quantity fall below 0. Do not allow item quantities below 0. If you tick this, system will not allow to process customer invoices when item quantities below 0. Note: you can't activate both two at once. You can activate only one option. Warn when item cost is 0. If you tick this, system will display an alert when item cost is 0. Warn when item selling price is below cost. If you tick this, system will display an alert when selling price is below an item cost. Display inactive items for selection on document lines. If you tick on this, inactive items also display for invoicing. If you are not invoice deactive or discontinue items, untick this. Display inactive items for selection on reports. If you tick on this, inactive items also display in the report. If you want to display inactive items in the report, you can tick on this. If you want to exclude inactive items from the report, untick on this. Sales orders reserve item quantities. If you active this, item quantities in sales orders will be reserved. If you enter sales orders, those items cannot sell for other customers.